How Facebook's real names killed MySpace's creative chaos. In 2005, MySpace was the undisputed king of social media, boasting over 100 million users and a valuation that would soon hit $12 billion when News Corporation acquired it for $580 million. This was a platform where creativity ran wild, where your profile wasn't just a page, but a digital canvas that screamed your identity to the world. Users spent hours perfecting their top 8 friends list, embedding flash animations, customizing HTML code to create glittering backgrounds, and choosing that perfect song that would autoplay when someone visited their page. MySpace was digital anarchy at its finest, a place where you could be Sparkle Goth 2006 one day and transform into Rockstar Dreamer the next. The platform had become so culturally dominant that having a MySpace profile wasn't just recommended, it was practically mandatory for anyone under 30. Bands were discovered through MySpace, relationships began and ended over MySpace messages, and entire subcultures flourished in its neon-colored, music-blasting ecosystem. But this creative chaos, this beautiful mess of self-expression and digital identity play, was about to face an existential threat from a clean, minimalist platform emerging from a Harvard dorm room. Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook launched its public version in September 2006, and from day one, it operated under a radically different philosophy than MySpace. Where MySpace celebrated digital personas and creative alter egos, Facebook demanded authenticity through its real name policy, requiring users to register with their actual legal names. This wasn't just a minor policy difference, it was a fundamental reimagining of what social media could and should be. Facebook's interface was stark and uniform, offering virtually no customization options compared to MySpace's Wild West of HTML modification. Every Facebook profile looked essentially the same, with the same blue and white color scheme, the same layout, the same sterile presentation. But this apparent limitation was actually Facebook's secret weapon. While MySpace users were spending hours tweaking their profiles and deciding whether their crushes deserved a spot in the coveted top 8, Facebook users were actually connecting, sharing real updates about their real lives, and building genuine social networks based on authentic relationships. The platform's college-centric origins gave it an air of exclusivity and authenticity that MySpace's open-to-everyone approach couldn't match. When Facebook finally opened to the general public, it carried this reputation for realness with it, attracting users who were tired of navigating MySpace's cluttered, often fake-feeling environment. The real names policy became Facebook's differentiator in ways that Zuckerberg probably never fully anticipated. By 2008, MySpace had become synonymous with spam, fake profiles, and predatory behavior, problems that plagued any platform where users could easily create anonymous or pseudonymous accounts. Parents, employers, and institutions began viewing MySpace with suspicion, while Facebook's insistence on real names made it feel safer and more trustworthy. This perception was crucial as social media began transitioning from a teenage playground to a legitimate communication tool for adults, families, and professionals. Facebook's timeline feature, introduced in 2006 as the news feed, created a dynamic, constantly updating stream of content that made MySpace's static profile pages feel outdated and clunky by comparison. The psychological impact of the real names policy extended far beyond mere identification. It fundamentally changed how people behaved online. Facebook users were more cautious about their posts, more genuine in their interactions, and more likely to connect with people they actually knew in real life. This created a more engaged, active community where people returned daily to check updates from real friends and family members, rather than occasionally visiting to admire someone's latest profile customization. MySpace's creative features, once its greatest strength, became its fatal weakness in the face of Facebook's streamlined approach. The platform's famous profile songs, which had helped launch countless music careers, became viewed as annoying and unprofessional as social media matured beyond its teenage roots. The HTML customization that allowed users to create unique, personalized spaces also enabled seizure-inducing backgrounds, unreadable text combinations, and pages that took forever to load on slower internet connections. By 2007, Facebook was gaining 1 million new users every week, while MySpace's growth was plateauing despite still maintaining a larger overall user base. The tipping point came when Facebook introduced the ability to tag friends in photos, a feature that seemed simple but proved revolutionary. This functionality, combined with the real names policy, created an interconnected web of authentic relationships that MySpace's pseudonymous environment couldn't replicate. When you tagged your real friends in real photos using their real names, you created social pressure for those friends to engage, comment, and reciprocate, driving the kind of active, ongoing engagement that social media platforms desperately need to survive. MySpace's band-centric culture, while valuable for music discovery, couldn't compete with this type of personal, family-oriented social networking that Facebook excelled at providing. The shift in user behavior between 2007 and 2009 told the story of two platforms moving in opposite directions, with Facebook's real names policy serving as the catalyst for this divergence. Facebook's user base exploded from 12 million in 2006 to over 360 million by 2009, while MySpace peaked at around 115 million users in 2008 before beginning its steep decline. The real names requirement created what social scientists call social proof, the psychological phenomenon where people assume the actions of others reflect correct behavior for a given situation. As more real people with real names joined Facebook, it became the platform where serious social networking happened, while MySpace increasingly felt like a digital ghost town populated by spam accounts, abandoned profiles, and nostalgic holdouts. Facebook's emphasis on real identity also made it infinitely more valuable to advertisers, who could target real people with real interests and real purchasing power, rather than trying to market to Sparkle Goth 2006 or Rockstar Dreamer. This advertising advantage allowed Facebook to invest heavily in infrastructure, new features, and user experience improvements, while MySpace struggled with the revenue limitations of its more chaotic, less identifiable user base. The network effects that make social media platforms valuable became self-reinforcing for Facebook. As more real people joined, more real people wanted to join to connect with them. By 2009, MySpace was hemorrhaging users at an alarming rate, losing approximately 1 million users per month, while Facebook was gaining nearly 10 million monthly. The cultural zeitgeist had shifted decisively toward Facebook's vision of social media as a utility for real-world relationship management rather than MySpace's concept of social media as a creative playground for digital self-expression. Facebook's real names policy had created a self-selecting user base of people who were genuinely interested in connecting with others, while MySpace struggled with users who treated the platform more like a digital art project than a social network. The introduction of Facebook's Like button in 2009 provided a simple, universal way for users to engage with content that MySpace's comment-heavy system couldn't match for speed and simplicity. Corporate users, celebrities, and public figures began migrating to Facebook en masse, attracted by the platform's professional appearance and authentic audience engagement. Even musicians, MySpace's most loyal constituency, started establishing stronger presences on Facebook, where they could reach real fans with real names who were more likely to attend concerts, buy albums, and provide genuine word-of-mouth marketing. The real names policy had created something MySpace never achieved: a social media platform that parents, employers, and institutions actively encouraged people to use. The final death blow to MySpace came not from any single Facebook feature, but from the accumulated weight of countless small decisions that flowed from the real names policy and its implications. When Facebook introduced business pages in 2009, companies could finally engage with real customers using real names, creating authentic relationships that drove real sales and real brand loyalty. MySpace's attempts to retrofit real name verification and clean up its platform came too late. The network effects had already shifted decisively toward Facebook, and users weren't willing to maintain profiles on both platforms. By 2010, Facebook had become the platform where real social networking happened. while MySpace felt increasingly like a digital relic from the internet's more innocent past. The real names policy had solved social media's fundamental trust problem. Users could rely on Facebook connections being genuine because the barrier to creating fake accounts was significantly higher. This trust extended to everything from marketplace transactions to event planning to professional networking, making Facebook an indispensable utility rather than just an entertainment platform. MySpace's sale to News Corporation, once hailed as validation of social media's commercial potential, became an albatross as the traditional media company struggled to understand and adapt to the changing social media landscape that Facebook was rapidly defining and dominating. News Corporation's attempts to revitalize MySpace between 2009 and 2011 only highlighted how completely Facebook's real names approach had transformed user expectations around social media authenticity and functionality. Despite multiple redesigns, feature updates, and strategic pivots, MySpace couldn't overcome the fundamental perception that it was a platform for fake personas rather than real relationships. Facebook's real names policy had created a positive feedback loop where authentic users attracted more authentic users, while MySpace's creative freedom had created a negative spiral where fake accounts and spam drove away legitimate users who migrated to Facebook's more trustworthy environment. The music industry, MySpace's last stronghold, increasingly viewed Facebook as a more effective platform for artist promotion because Facebook fans were real people who might actually attend concerts and purchase merchandise, rather than potentially fake accounts collecting friends like digital trading cards. When MySpace finally attempted to implement its own real names policy in 2010, the platform lacked the social infrastructure and cultural momentum that had made Facebook's policy successful from the beginning. Users had already invested too much time and too many connections in Facebook's ecosystem to justify switching back to a platform that felt like it was copying rather than innovating. The final chapter of MySpace's decline played out with devastating swiftness between 2010 and 2011, as Facebook's real names advantage compounded into an insurmountable lead in every metric that mattered for social media success. Facebook reached 500 million users in July 2010, while MySpace had dwindled to fewer than 50 million active users, many of whom were also maintaining more active Facebook profiles. News Corporation, facing mounting losses and unable to reverse MySpace's decline, sold the platform to Specific Media for just $35 million in June 2011, a staggering loss from their original $580 million investment just 6 years earlier. The sale represented more than just one company's failed investment. It marked the end of an entire era of internet culture, where creative self-expression and digital identity play had been the primary drivers of social media engagement. Facebook's real names policy hadn't just killed MySpace, it had killed the entire concept of social media as a creative playground, replacing it with social media as a utility for managing real-world relationships and authentic digital identities. The platform that had once let you be anyone you wanted ultimately lost to the platform that made you be exactly who you were. And in doing so, Facebook didn't just destroy a competitor, it destroyed an entire approach to online social interaction that would never fully recover. The broader implications of Facebook's real names victory over MySpace's creative chaos extended far beyond the immediate business competition, fundamentally reshaping how we think about privacy, authenticity, and self-expression in digital spaces for generations to come. MySpace's death marked the end of the internet's Wild West period, where anonymity and pseudonymity were celebrated as features rather than bugs, where creative self-expression took precedence over authentic self-representation. Facebook's model became the template that virtually every subsequent social media platform would follow, prioritizing real names, real identities, and real connections over the creative freedom and digital experimentation that had made MySpace so culturally significant. The shift represented a broader maturation of the internet from a space for play and experimentation to a space for serious social and economic activity, but it also represented a loss of something important about online culture's creative potential. Today's social media landscape, Dominated by platforms that follow Facebook's real names philosophy, offers unprecedented connection and authentic relationship management, but it has never recaptured the wild, experimental, deeply personal creative energy that made MySpace profiles into genuine works of digital art. In killing MySpace, Facebook didn't just eliminate a competitor, it eliminated an entire philosophy of what social media could be, replacing creative chaos with authentic order, and, in the process, changing the fundamental nature of human digital expression forever.